Hey guys, it's Callous with live narration once again. Callous Invitational 6, Round 2, Winners Bracket. Jester and Dice, as you can see by the usernames. Jester on the bottom, Dice on the top. This is one of those lead matchups where the consensus is if you're the Smeargle player, you gotta just click Spore. If they lum, they lum. Life sucks, but gotta risk it. If you're leading Smeargle, it's really important to get the spikes down. So Jester agrees, goes for it. He spores. There is no lum. However, T-Tower wakes up on the following turn, dances, and there's no more Smeargle. So this is not a good trade. He traded the Smeargle for one layer of spikes, and the tower got a +1/+1 going on. So good turn for Dice. There's heavy variance, of course, as to when it wakes up. It could take a 3 or 4 turn nap, or it could just wake up the next turn, which stinks, but that's part of the variance of sleep, and Jester gets the short end of the stick in this case. So as far as how these players got here, you guys may have seen Jester get a very impressive and seemingly unexpected, according to most people and according to the predictions. He got a great victory over Starmaster 2-0 actually in the opening round. And then in the opening round, it was Dice over Eden, also 2-0, for him to get here. They are playing for that coveted bye. If you win the second round, 2-0, then you get to take the week off in round 3, which is great. Meteor Mash crit there bails Jester out if it turns out that this is a lefties meta, not a choice bander. He's not gaining lefties, so maybe it is a bander. And Psychic going to blank on the tower, but nevertheless, Dice feels ahead to me. It is 5-5, and he does have to deal with that spike, but meta is so low at just 9%. It's not, it's so early. Somebody isn't absolutely crushing the other. But if I had to take a stab at it, I would say that Dice is a little bit ahead at this moment. Maybe not anymore. He leech seeds and gets immediately eaten by Hidden Power Bug. That seems like a very greedy leech seed. That seems like a straight up misplay for Dice. I don't understand staying in there just to leech seed and get nailed by HP Bug. It just that feels very silly, very greedy. Okay, we're subbing and we're gonna sub C lock him. Doesn't even work. I mean, all it's going to do is land the Gengar behind the sub, which presumably it is Focus Punch. That's fine, but, it needs to be the perfect set here because there's nothing preventing Jester from going to, a Swampert, for example, or a Zapdos on the substitute turn, and then just roar the damn thing out. All right, you eat an Ice Punch. Who cares? Now, granted, these hyper-offensive teams, like the one that Jester has, often don't have a phaser at all, so it's totally possible that he just doesn't have a Pokemon on the whole team that has Roar. Probably a decent chance of that. But still, this just doesn't seem that exciting. Now, granted, that seems like a bad Leech Seed for Jester. Both players have had bad Leech Seeds in this game. This is a sloppy game one. I'm not really agreeing with the way this is being played from either guy. But the Celebi really ought to be fine here. It's Sub, Focus Punch, Will-O-Wisp, X. Is X just Boom? There's only one more move, so it can't have all of Boom, Thunderbolt, Ice Punch, Giga Drain, whatever it is. There's only one more thing he can have. It might just be Boom. Weird set. And man, there are greedy Leech Seeds in this game. Calm Mind, missed Leech Seeds, stay in, burnt. Now you're outsped against a +1 Rachi. Some awkward Leech Seeds in this game. Not sure I agree with the way that either one is playing this, but here we are. T-Tar comes in. Gonna dance up after eating that +1 HP grass for 59%. Now a big threat to the Rachi if it is some kind of super Rachi. +1 Earthquake could get him here unless he's got sufficient bulk. No, he's gonna survive comfortably actually. 83% is a lot, but Rachi gets him. But he's not gonna be faster than Aerodactyl here. That's gonna force him out. However, the EQ is blanked. We knew that there was another EQ immunity in the back, the Gengar, but as it turns out, there's also this previously unrevealed Salamence. Gonna come in, Intimidate, not relevant in this case, but he switches it up to Rock Slide and gets the flinch. I doubt Dice saw that coming. Is this a Lychee Berry? Is this the sub-Lychee variant of Arrow that's pretty uncommon? Right set at the right time, evidently. And man, that flinch was at the right time too. because otherwise the Ments there might have killed him with Rock Slide, might have DD'd up, who knows. So yeah, sub Double Edge, it is the Lychee Berry set, and man, the damage output against this Coon is pathetic. 13%! That is so soft, thing hits like a feather. Magneton coming in to bail him out. There is no electric resist for Dice. The only one he ever had was the Celebi, who is long dead, so this magnet-backed, presumably, Thunderbolt is going to do some fucking damage. Now, granted, the Coon can hit the Magneton back for a decent chunk, but he can't kill him without a crit, and the Magneton, that very well may be faster here, is going to really chunk him with this magnet-backed Thunderbolt. Dice is going to have to let something take it. He has to determine what he finds valuable here. I don't think I would let the Coon eat it, given how important it is against the Aerodactyl, but easier said than done. I mean, what do you switch in here? Nothing really wants to take the T-Bolt. And that's exactly what he's thinking about right here. Yeah, unsurprisingly, it's Dice that we're waiting on. It's Dice taking the time. And he decides on Gengar, and obviously that does not live the Magnet-back T-Bolt. Down that goes. He's banking that the Salamence is faster than the Magneton, which is a very safe assumption. This is a mind game turn, though, because if you DD trying to get ahead of the arrow and the Magneton stays in and T-Waves you, you get wrecked. But likewise, if you Earthquake to just outright kill the Magneton and he goes to arrow, that's bad. So this is a bit of a 50-50 turn. The term 50-50 annoys me and many other ADVers because it is overused and it's not actually a 50-50 a lot of the time. There's more nuance to it than that. There's more than two options. The options aren't equal, so on and so forth. So I'm going to use the term mind game turn, decision turn, whatever you want, Yomi turn, whatever you want. It is DD, and it's Thunderbolt, which is going to suffice. So Jester wins the mind game turn. Dice, had he simply clicked Earthquake there, would have managed to kill it, but that's not what he did, and now he needs to either get there with the Coon or to find hacks with the Jirachi. There's Earthquake, and now it is Coon. It might have to Calm Mind up here in order to have a chance against the Magneton. Arrow obviously is going to keep this very aggressive. Double Edge is his best bet. He could go for flinches with Rock Slide, but Double Edge is the higher damage output, so it's a bit of a trade-off. But it's definitely arguable here that you should simply go for a flinch. I personally would probably Rock Slide here. I could see the argument for substitute as well, but if I'm going to attack, I think I would Rock Slide. He goes to Mag, which is interesting. So as it turns out, attacking, I think, would have won Jester the game, because after the attack, you then go to Mag, and then you can sub down into your Lychee Berry and kill the Coon that way. That's what I think I would have done. But this works too. Apparently, the Magneton is just faster than the Coon. I usually have my Coons even my bulky defensive ones at 222-ish for Tar. It's totally possible the Magneton was max modest, which 238 or 39, depending on hidden power, which would have outsped him there. Coon can go 244 or more, but typically at those speeds, it is some kind of offensive Coon, whereas that seemed like a more defensive Coon. So it makes sense that the Magneton is faster here. That damage to get him through 2 Calm Mind boosts, like I said, I think was modest and holding a magnet, and he gets him there. But keep in mind that even if he had come up short, let's say the Coon lived at, 2% or whatever, it would have just died to the sand anyway, and the Aerodactyl in the back would have followed up. So Jester was going to get out of that game one way or another, it looked like. And he is, for all the shit that we give him for being the 11-year-old that he is, Jabba sucks. He loses all the time. Jester is yet to drop a game in CALLOUS Invitational 6. 2-0 against Starmaster, and now up a game against Dice, looking to earn his bye for the 3rd round. It's impressive. I mean, we like to give the young guys a hard time, especially when it feels like it was just yesterday that Jester was some random annoying 16-year-old, but he has grown up both in character and in in-game ability, and certainly in every way looks like he very much belongs in this tournament. Now we wait for game 2. Dice will need 2 in a row. Obviously a player who is very capable of doing that, but that's what he's going to need if he wants to avoid that lower bracket. No clue what kind of adjustments they're going to make. Dice is the kind of player that can show up with absolutely anything unpredictable. Has a history in the past of being a wild builder, but he can also just play standards. Yeah, just have to see what they both want to do. Dice could roll up with anything. Jester, on the other hand, is not a player that I think plays hard stall basically ever. Doesn't mean that he can't play like a stally team or a Skarn Bliss or something along the lines of a stally team, but it's hard for me to envision Jester rolling up with like a Dustclops or that kind of thing, just like an absolute do nothing pressure mon. There we go. Here's game 2. All right, so keeping their positions, it is Jester on the bottom and Dice on the top. It's a lead Mence and a lead Skarm. Again, when you lead Skarm, it is very indicative of a spike stacks team with Jolteon or Zapdos or what have you, Gengar, Tar, those kind of things. Just a very offensive team that really needs those spikes down early on. On the flip side of that, lead Mence can be a number of things. That could be a CB Mence, that could be a mixed Mence. It could be, a much more defensive, like support the CB Men's team with Magneton and Wish Bliss or whatever, or it could be a mixed offense. Mence doesn't reveal much. But yeah, if you're leading Skarm, you have to be willing to stay in on matches like this. I mean, leading Skarm, most of the time, you're going to stay in and you're going to spike regardless of what you think they're going to do. So he very well may have to eat a Fire Blast here, but again, if you're making this lead, that's something that you have to accept. So is that what we're going to see here? We're not. We're going to see Dice not being willing to eat a potential Fire Blast or a Magneton. If he thought that the Salamence was physical, he may have been anticipating that Mag, but for whatever reason, Dice does decide to make the switch, and that turns out to be good, because there was a Magneton waiting in the wings, which, to me, I think probably means that it's a physical Mence. It doesn't have to be that. Cute trick that I like to use sometimes in the builder with these teams is I lead with a mixed mon, like a mixed meta. I'll go HP Fire, and then when they see that, they go, okay, he probably doesn't have a Magneton. He's using, mixed things, fire attacks, whatever, and that makes them feel safe with the Skarm because they can just protect or spike up, eat another HP Fire, whatever. But I actually do have a Mag in the back, and then you go to that. So it's possible that we're looking still at a mixed Mence, which goes, oh, hey, I Dragon Clawed, I mixed, you're safe, whatever, and then Magneton comes in. But it could just be a Choice Bender or a Dragon Dancer. We don't know. We do know that Dice's Salamence is mixed. It shows Dragon Claw here, and in comes Claydol. So anti-spikes here. Jester busting out the Magdoll against an opponent who led Skarm. So that's probably pretty good. Protect and Rock Slide, respectively. I don't hate Rock Slide on Claydol. I've used that a few times. And Starmie coming in for Dice. And you can see how bad the Rock Slide is when it doesn't hit something super effectively. Bounces off for just 20%, and it's a sandless game, so Starmie can shrug that off, no problem. It does threaten the doll now with a water attack, with Ice Beam. Of course, Lax could come in to take those things. But yeah, we've got Magdoll against a Skarm squad, so presumably we're looking at a pretty good matchup for Jester. Though if this happens to be an off-star, it could be a good cleaner against Jester's team. And both of them now taking a moment to think. Not totally clear what both teams are, but there's only so much variance on Magdoll. And that is not an off-star. That is a bulky T-Wave set. Okay, we're going very stally for Dice as he busts out Registeel. And I believe this is the first appearance of Registeel in this tour, if I recall correctly. So now all three Reggies have been used, as they should be. And S-Toss going to be the move. That's going to take forever to kill Lax with its massive HP pool, and we're playing a sandless game right now. That's going to take a long time, but no, it won't take a long time. Counter. Jester walks right into it. He goes Earthquake, gets him for a lot, super effective against Steel, but Counter is going to smack him into next week, and there is no more Snorlax. Dice with the first KO of this game too. And that'll help. You're going to get a Thunderbolt with the 10% power. That's way better than Thunder Wave. You only get the power, not the damage. But we do have a Dugtrio follow-up, so this game actually progressing rather quickly. Couple quick knockouts there. It still leaves us where we were before, however, with Dice clearly with an advantage at this moment. He's got that 5-4 lead, and now if the Salamence is strictly physical, it has to contend with a Skarm that he can no longer mag away, so that could be an issue. He doubles back instead to Tyranitar, possibly thinking setting up with that is going to be his best bet at this point, but we know that Starmie has T-Wave, which it doesn't seem like Jester has a great switch into. Doesn't have any natural Curemons, and he's only got one T-Wave immunity. And that T-Wave immunity, Claydol, is not going to be the most helpful thing against Starmie, who obviously has that water typing to get him. There's the boom for the trade, so that's probably good stuff. Starmie's got to go. I mean, that's just... It seems like a real menace for the team here. We end up Mence on Mence. We know that Dice's Mence is mixed and has Dragon Claw. Unclear what the EVs are for Jester's Mence and what his odds are to survive Dragon Claw, but he obviously doesn't feel too comfortable with that because he doubles back. Blissey on Claydol here. Nurse Moment avoided for now as Ice Beam happens on Tar. Tar does not have lefties, so he's probably holding Lum, and he DDs up. He's going to be looking to either be Taunt, which is a very rare T-Tar set these days, or to get Rock Slide flinches against the Skarm here. But the DD Tar is a real threat to clean up in this game, make no doubt about it. Man, had he... Oh, that works. I was going to say, had he gone for the second DD there, it'd be game over almost, but a crit is going to also do the job. Dugtrio dies to crit Rock Slide, and Disaster strikes for Dice. He would have survived that, outsped the T-Tar, and probably killed him with Earthquake. That was a massive crit that Jester greatly benefits from. Dice is really going to have to maneuver like a pro. There is Hidden Power. I don't know. I get distracted when I read the comments. I don't know why I said Hidden Power. By Hidden Power, I meant Intimidate, but I'm not clear where the overlap is. I don't know. No one ever said I was good at narrating. Anyway, here comes Skarm. Rock Slide for 32%. Gonna have to avoid crits and flinches here to phase him out and have a shot at this game. Intimidate certainly is going to help his chances. T-Tar outspeeds the Skarm if it didn't already, but he's not attack boosted anymore. And Toxic does come down. Interesting. So he's not Lum or Lefties. I find that very curious. I thought for sure that he was going to be Lum. And I found the Toxic weird too, because you're toxicking into something that has Lum, right? Why would you do that? But apparently it doesn't have Lum or Lefties, so I don't know what we're looking at here. I think that... I guess it's going to be Rest Chesto? Or a Pinch Berry, but yeah, I think Rest Chesto is what we're looking at. And I'm a huge fan of that T-Type set. Rest Chesto is so good. I've been advocating it for a year and a half, 2 years now. There's Rock Slide, yep. So it's a... I wonder if it's last move Wish. It's the only way that Protect makes sense. And Rock Slide with the kill there. I think Dice may have stayed in to go for the attack, anticipating something like DD or Rest. Okay, well, moment of truth. Obviously, if he has rest, he has to go for it here. Dice is going to have to win with just Skarm Bliss, which is going to be quite the challenge in this situation. We still don't know what the deal is with this Mence. We know Skarm has Toxic, which would threaten it, but can he just cook him with Fire Blast, or is this a CB or DD Mence that the Skarm could wall? If this is, let's go with the worst case scenario from Jester's point of view. If this is like DD Mence, for example, which it looks like, then the Skarm actually really walls the whole team. It's a real threat against, let's say he had gone Toxic there. He could then protect and then phase it out. He beats the Skarm if it's not rest when it's that low and it's poisoned. And then he beats the Doll as well. So the Skarm actually can beat the whole team if it's DD Mence. We now know that it's DD Mence, but of course he didn't know that before, so he didn't stay in and go for Toxic. But yeah, had he known that it's DD Mence, the Skarm actually has a chance to win this game for Dice. Well, now that DD has happened, it's a bit awkward. You're still not killing Bliss without a crit, or I guess Brick Break, or a flinch, or whatever. And that's way short. The question is, do you survive Ice Beam? And the answer is yes, but it doesn't survive Ice Beam plus Sand. So that leaves us in a 2-2. I think you have to attack if you're Dice. I think Soft Boiled is wrong. I think you actually attack. Interesting. He goes to Skarm there. And it's Lychee, not Chesto. But I think this is okay. I think that Skarm just clicks Protect, and then you go to Bliss, and then it comes down to Skarm v Doll one-on-one that Skarm should win handily. So I think Dice is going to get this game. The only way where maybe that goes the other way is if the Doll successfully booms on the Skarmory here. Like that. That actually might win the game for Jester, because now it's a damage roll, but now T-Tower might be able to kill Bliss. It's going to be close. The +1 attack did... Oh, no, that was from Salamence. This is going to be close. It's going to be a damage roll here. All Blissey has to do is survive. The move that she uses doesn't matter. It's as simple as you kill her or you don't, because otherwise you die to poison. And if Jester kills her, well, how anticlimactic. But if Jester kills her, he would have been undefeated in games in this tournament, 4-0, and off to an ultra impressive and, dare I say, unexpected start to his CALLOUS Invitational. Just clean 2-0s over Starmaster and Dice as he cruises his way into the round 2, or I guess round 3 winners bracket with a bye going into the third round. That would have really been something. Who would have predicted that? He was damn close, too. I could pull out a calc real quick, but I really don't want to miss the next game. Let me just real quick. Do they even have the Lychee set? I don't know if they do. That's the problem. Alright, well, we'll call him a bulky Dragon Dancer then, because we don't have the Lychee set. And then Blissey, it's not clear. It's not clear if it was bold. Let's say that it was bold. Okay, so there are some scenarios where you couldn't have even killed it. But this is bold. Like other Blisseys, if it had been like Calm Mind Modest or something, then it would have just been a damage roll to kill because she was at 40%. So we're looking at 36-8 to 43. It's hard for me to do the calcs because I don't know the spread for either one. Literally the only thing that Blissey showed was Ice Beam, so it's not clear. I guess I could have calced at the time based on how much Salamence did to figure out whether this was modest or bold, but I didn't do that. And then, yeah, I mean, the T-Tower with Lychee could be a couple of things. It could be a bulkier spread, relying on just getting to the Lychee. It could just be a more aggressive spread where Lychee puts it over the top. Without knowing the spread for both, it's challenging. I don't know. But it's very likely, not guaranteed, But it's very likely that that final turn, the rock slide, would have been a roll. But we'll never know, because it misses. But it was close. We've had 2 close ones, in fact. Jester was remarkably close to being 4-0 in games and cruising into the bye without a loss, which is fucking hats off, dude. Hats off. Who would have expected? But now that's not what we're looking at. Now it is Jester against Dice going into game 3. The fairy tale could come crashing down, and Jester falls back down to earth 1-1 in the lower bracket. It really is, man. It's a game of inches. This is how it works. This one game, this next game, could be the difference between Jester falling into the lower bracket, going 1-1, and then losing his next match, so he's out of here with an unceremonious 1-2 performance that nobody's going to remember. Want. Or he wins this game, gets a bye, wins the next round, he's 3-0. All of a sudden, Jester's in the fucking top 8, and it's a holy shit debut. This guy might make money. Let's buy him in SPL. This is a legit ADV starter, etc. And this is why this community is too results based, and why you can't just look at where somebody finished, because this one game that we're about to see, like I said, could be the difference between 1-2, meh, who cares, nobody remembers your performance, or Jester finishes in like the top 8 or the top 6. One game! And who knows, maybe it's a Haxie game. It just changes so much. It's like that in SPL too. This past year when we were 1 win, 2 ties, week 4 against Tyrants, we got up 4-2 or 4-1 in that week out of 10 games. And we went on to fucking lose. They came all the way back from 4-1 or 4-2. Had we closed that out, which the overwhelming majority of the time at like 4-1, we should win and should close that out, we're in first going into mids, and we're just at an overwhelming, we're in a fantastic position for playoffs, and we can just really cruise. We can go 500 the rest of the way, and we're in first. But instead, we lost. Team morale took a huge dive, and we lost a bunch and ended up in 9th. I think if we had won that week, if we had closed it out, not choked against Tyrants, we would have made playoffs. There's a bazillion examples of this, but the point is, one game, one match is all the difference in the results. It really, truly can be. And that's why this community should not get so stuck on the results, but rather how one got to those results, and rather how someone performs over time, as opposed to they finished X and Y tournament. That's it. Unsurprisingly, whether it's nerves or consulting friends on what team to use or whatever it may be, we have the longest delay of the set in between games 2 and 3. They're both fully aware of the stakes and how important this third game is. Obviously, you want to bring the right team. Obviously, you want to be in the right place mentally. Don't want to be playing with your hands shaking or be nervous or, oh fuck, I loaded the wrong thing. Now, granted, I wish there were a more enforceable way to put some kind of timer in between games. I wish that I could, I don't know what the magic number would be, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, but I wish I could enforce that there can't be longer than X before games. That isn't something that I could enforce, not only because I'm not around for each game, but like, who's sitting there with a stopwatch? If I say that 5 minutes is the magical number, and it takes 5 minutes and 7 seconds, is that person to be penalized? There's just not a good way to enforce that rule. And I totally get why players need a minute in between games, need a drink, need to compose themselves, need to think, whatever it may be. But I also don't think that waiting, and it hasn't been this, I'm just saying in general, I don't mean right now, but I don't think waiting, 10 minutes or something in between games, 15 minutes in between games, I don't think that is reasonable either. But yeah, they should be starting anytime. It's been a bit. think we're going to see it any moment. And as I said before, Jester has not rolled up with what I would consider a proper stall team at any point, whereas Dice can really bring anything. He busted out the Registeel. And here is the third and presumably final game. I always say presumably because there's the off chance that it ends in a draw or there's some kind of controversy or whatever. They agree to a draw, like the infamous game between Cowboy Dan and BKC in CALLOUS Invitational 1, but overwhelmingly likely this game will reach a proper conclusion. We'll have a winner, we'll have a loser. So Zapdos Thunderbolt Skarm, and he goes for Roar immediately. That can't be what he was hoping for. He must have roared thinking that maybe a Magneton was going to come in, but that's not what occurred. And that whole time, he does not manage to get a spike down. However, Dice does get a T-Wave off on the opposing Skarm, which is obviously good for him, and a full para, and he's going to begin surfing before Lair finally does come down, favoring Jester. He goes Rapid Spin here, a sandless game at the moment. Rapid Spins again, and there's Roar. That's going to prompt out Bliss. So Dice has opted for safe, sturdy Skarm Bliss. Can't blame him. And Jester's team looking a little bit more on the defensive side as well. Cheetar comes in. It's revealed that it does have leftovers. He gets crit and frozen by Ice Beam. There's Dice catching some relevant hacks early on. Huge. Crit and freeze with that Ice Beam. That has got to make Jester sigh, smack his keyboard, whatever it may be. Just, man, I was so close to being in round 3 with the bye. Now this bullshit's happening. Don't let it end like this. Toxic connecting on Bliss. Starmie comes back in as full para sets in. Dice has done a very good job early on spreading that para all around. Hell, had he clicked T-Wave there, Zapdos would have been the third victim of paralysis on top of the frozen T-Tar. It would be the entire revealed team so far for Jester suffering from a status effect. Here's Bliss coming into T-Bolt, does not care. Dice definitely feels ahead at this moment. Well, there's a crit T-Bolt as a Calm Mind comes down. That makes it interesting if there's something like an Aerodactyl or a Dugtrio in the back. But he just goes to Rachi, and Dice is going to play it safe and go for Soft Boiled, which you can't fault him for. +1 T-Bolt, not that exciting. And there is Toxic, which connects through imperfect accuracy and paralysis. So as long as Rachi is able to get a Wish off, should be good to go here. Well, the Dugtrio in the back could change things in a big way. Protect, presumably the last move, so I think Rachi is resigned to fire punching here and getting there with the burn. Wow. Wow, Dice pulls it back. Man, that's a play I could never make. I would have stayed in there always. The discipline, man. I would have stayed in there always. You get there with a crit. You get there with a full power on either of the next 2 turns. I would have stayed in there always. Who gives a fuck if your Dugtrio gets Toxic? I would have always stayed in there. But Dice sees it differently. So we remain at a 6-6 game, even though a couple of the Mons, most of them on Jester's side, are not in fantastic shape with those status problems. And spikes do come down, but we know Starmie has Rapid Spin. It's already used it. Unclear whether or not Jester has a Ghost. But maybe he will. Here it is. Gengar does, in fact, block Rapid Spin. We've got an opportunity. We know Starmie has T-Wave, which Gengar wants no part of, but Gengar also could just Thunderbolt it. And it's interesting that Zapdos is the switch-in for Jester here. It's got to be Rest Zapdos if he's willing to do that, because the obvious play for Dice to make there was to just click T-Wave, right? So that's the second time that Jester has played in such a way where he's cool if his Zapdos gets hit with a T-Wave. So that makes me think it's got to be a Rest Zapdos. Gengar switches in on Toxic, but I think this is okay for Jester too. He gets the Rachi in safely. He gets some lefties. That seems fine. Gets a wish off. This is obviously a very specially bulky Jirachi, taking nothing from Thunderbolts. Didn't take much from +1 Bliss earlier either. Wish is going to get past to Zapdos, who's currently suffering from that burn. A lot of switching for Jester, and Rest Gengar happening for Dice. Okay. Doesn't even seem that bulky. Very interesting. Oh, wow, it's Rest Talk Gengar. The fuck is that? Rest Talk Gar. With Thunderbolt and Will-O-Wisp. That's a set. Well, you know, I don't usually see things in CALLOUS Invitational I've never seen before. Usually any given thing that I see, I've seen at some point, even if it was just an idea or some dumb, 1200 player using some shitty set or whatever, but that's a first for me. The Rest Talk Gengar for Dice. Don't think I'm a huge fan. Don't know that I think it's overly good, but that's what he brought, and I'd be happy to be wrong. If there's a new set, if there's innovation, I'm cool with it. Jester manages to kill the Skarmory, which I actually don't think the Skarm was that exciting in this matchup. At least 3, maybe even a 4th Mon in the back for Jester of his Mons don't care about the Skarm, or about Spikes rather. So it doesn't seem like the world's biggest knockout. This is still a close game. Remember that the T-Tower for Jester is low and still frozen, plus stuff is still paralyzed on his end. This one could be tight. This one could go either way. Now granted, I mean, this Rest Talk Gar will wall this Jirachi all day. Fire Punch Toxic Rachi is never going to kill that Gengar, so I guess that is one argument for that particular set. It does wall that set of Jirachi basically indefinitely. Ooh, we're getting greedy. Dice is going to Calm Mind up on the T-Tower, but it received a wish and is at 100% now, so he's going to have some opportunities to thaw. But Jester is not getting greedy. He recognizes the urgency of the Bliss and that he needs to get a Toxic off on it, which again is going to connect through imperfect accuracy. That's lucky. If he were to miss a Toxic or full power one of these times, Blissey really feels like it would be an issue. And again, he goes Doug. Is he going to pull it back again? This time he's not. He's going to stay in. Protect gets off, but he's going to have to avoid full power for quite a while or he's going to lose. Oh! He goes for it. That's the play. He fire punches him. He knows he has to. 20% chance to Serene Grace burn him. He knows he has to go for it, and he finds it on command. And now the Jirachi, who has avoided full para like a pro, many turns, 5-6 turns in a row, he's avoided full para, and now he is going to survive the Doug Trio pending a critical hit right now, and it does not come, and the wish gets off. No full para for 7 or 8 or however many turns in a row, and he gets the burn on command. Jester, who got unlucky earlier in this game, is now catching breaks, not only landing the Toxic once again on the Blissey through the para, but getting a very cooperative sequence of RNG with his Jirachi against the Doug Trio, certainly not the least of which was that burn. So now, all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a close one yet again. I have liked Dice's position throughout most of this game, but I'm not so sure anymore. That was a very lucky sequence for Jester, and it really, really mattered. Jirachi did die, but Doug Trio's gone. The T-Tower really, it's still frozen, but it has the ability to wake up at any time and really be an issue. Now Dice is going to outplay Jester here and get the Rapid Spin off. Skarm is still alive, and he could maybe reestablish that later in the series. Here's Blissey Calm Minding again. The answer that Jester has been going to this whole time has been the Jirachi to put a Toxic on it, but that's no longer an option. Jester threatening a nurse moment here. Will Dice respect it? That Blissey is an important win condition, and they've been playing at clicker pace, but unsurprisingly, they're going to stop on this crucial turn. If Dice gets his nurse blown up on, he might have a hard time winning the game. Unless this is a curse pert, none of these other things are win conditions. And on the flip side, if Jester just blows up into the opposing Gengar, for example, that is a disaster, and Dice is in really good shape to win this game. So this is a crucial turn, and Dice apparently already made his move and doesn't really have to think about it. It's Jester who's figuring out if he has to blow here or not. Will he be able to hold his load, or will he skeet on the nurse's face? We're about to find out. Jester taking a minute and still thinking about it. He goes Will-O-Wisp, and it's Combine again. He is tempting him. He's telling him, come on, man, you got to blow. Will Dice play around it? Yes! Goes to his own Gar for the boom. And he does not have Explosion. There's a plot twist. Destiny Bond instead. Very interesting. That's going to create some mind games later. But that's not going to be an indefinite answer by any means. Gengar could get frozen or paralyzed to completely negate that Destiny Bond. I mean, he can't get frozen in this moment because of Freeze Claws, but the T-Tar could thaw. But he could get paralyzed, or he could simply run out of PP. Destiny Bond only with 8 to begin with, so he's only going to have so many chances to do that. So the fact that it is D-Bond rather than Explosion is going to create another layer of depth and mind games in this late game. And that is a risky switch for Jester, who would have instantly lost his Flygon had Blissey clicked Ice Beam, which of course she's going to do now. A crit there would have deleted Gengar, but what can you do? It's extremely unlikely that he has both D-Bond and Explosion, but Dice plays around it anyway. That's very conservative. What a time to thaw. Pulls it back as he thaws and pursuits. Gengar is out of here, and Jester is looking to pull ahead in this game. The Combine Bliss is still an absolute threat and is very likely the best bet for Dice to win this game. It doesn't look like a Pokemon, especially if it really is non-Explosion Gengar. It doesn't look like a Pokemon that Jester has a very good answer to, but Jester has fought back. He has thawed his Tar. He has kept his stuff healthy through smart switching and wish passing, and he's looking pretty good in this game. The Blissey is the biggest obstacle, but thankfully it's a mixed Tar for Jester rather than strictly special. The fact that he has the option to Rock Slide that Blissey is crucially important here, rather than having Crunch be the best thing that he can do. Flygon comes in again. We still haven't seen it actually attack. It could be, we don't know, but it could be a CB Flygon. We've seen actual nothing, and that again would change the dynamic of this game if that is the case. Now crucially here, Blissey is faster than Tyranitar. That might be just an EV mistake for Jester. I think even if you're using minus speed special attack, which is very likely the case here, I think you still should have been bothered to go up to 149, 150, whatever, to get ahead of Bliss. I think it would make a big difference in this kind of situation. Will-O-Wisp and Combine respectively, sure. The mind games begin. Only 7 more Destiny Bonds. If Dice is patient enough, he can stay in here for quite a while. I hate that. He's got to have some other win condition in mind. It's got to be a Curse Pert or something, but that's got to be a mistake for Dice. I don't get it. Clearly the Blissey was your best win condition. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just Combine again or Soft Boiled there? Why would you take that trade? It's got to be Curse Pert, or Dice just choked majorly. That's an absolute throw, unless this is Curse Pert. And there's Ice Beam on the Flygon, which comes up very short, actually, despite 4x. Starmie comes in on Toxic, sure. He's not playing in such a way where you would think it was Curse Pert, because you just eat that Toxic and kill the Flygon there. There's a Whiffed Protect. If it's not Curse Pert, Dice really, really fucked this up. I don't know why you would ever give the Blissey up there unless it's Curse Pert. Here's T-Tar. Earthquake, sure. And Crunch, 33%. Poison, of course, still a thing. Back to Star. Lucky he didn't get Crunch there. It'd be a dead Starmie. Finds himself in against the Skarm, playing it aggressively, Surf, and Spikes come down. We know he has rapid spin. We know that he can't block rapid spin, but instead he's playing it aggressively. He surfs. He gets a crit, but it's still short. Roar's going to force the Swampert in at just 40% now with the poison. Now Starmie comes in again, and spikes come down. I'm seeing GGs. They must be ahead of us in real time. There's Surf. Is Starmie going to clean it up here? Surf. Fast asleep. No, there's the T-Bolt. Unless it is Curse Pert. We are done here. Ice Beam. Yeah, that is obviously a non-rest Pert. Dice fucked up. It's as simple as that. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on anybody, but I gotta call it as I see it. Dice messed this up. All he had to do was not give up the Blissey, and it would have won him the game. Accepting that trade with the Blissey and the Gengar was just wrong. It's only 8 Destiny Bonds. He could have sat in there and kept CMing up. He could have clicked CM and soft boiled a bunch of times until the Destiny Bonds are gone, or just switched, either or, and the Blissey would have eventually won the game. Jester had no answer for it. That was absolutely a game and match losing mistake for Dice. He gave up the Bliss when he didn't need to. It was his only win condition. It was a big threat. And the second he did that, it felt over. And Jester does indeed take it down. It was a scare. This third game clearly could have gone either way. And we go over 100 turns to get there. So it was a tight one. But it is going to be Jester with, in the eyes of many, a shocking, overperforming 2-0 start to CALLOUS Invitational. He's going to have himself a round 3 bye and be in the winner's bracket and be in real contention to make a deep money finishing run in this tour. Dice, on the other hand, down to the lower bracket. Like I said, I feel like he has only himself to blame. I really think that Blissey play was a big mistake. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We're still taking donations. Let's get over 2,000. I love new subscribers. Maybe I'll get to like 10 one day. If you would like to subscribe, consider doing so. Or even if you don't want to subscribe, hitting the like button would help me a lot too, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. More CALLOUS Invitational still on the way.